Right, we got several authentics today, Martin Authentics. And this is a very casual, laid back ABC. I just got back in from riding my dirt bike. Had a good ride with some friends and neighbors up the road. 4 weeks ago, I had a bad crash on the dirt bike and tore my AC joint right here. So that was a month ago. So this is the first time I've ridden since then. And, every time you go back out after an injury, it's scary. You got to work through your fears. So I'm glad I went out. It's also pouring rain, getting ready to rain here. I'm going to mostly just play these guitars. I'm going to do my standard comparison licks, and then I'm just going to sit here and play and give you my feelings and observations about these individual guitars. So our first guitar that we're going to look at, brand new here to me. It just came in yesterday. This is a customer's guitar. He's lending it to me to do videos. I've had lots of his guitars. I had the D45 Authentic, which is still here, and one of these other guitars, this one here, the 1839 Aged Authentic. We've had this one before on video, but not with a good camera and not with a good microphone and everything. And he sent this back to me to compare it to this one. So we have a lot of fun guitars here. So this one is it's a D18, 1937 Authentic Aged. And when they age it, it's got some relicing on it, light relicing. A lot of people don't like the relicing. To me, I love it. It immediately gives me the looks and the feel of an old, comfortable guitar. And I never worry about scratching them or banging them up or anything like that. This 45 Authentic over here is pristine, brand new. I'm scared to death to play it. But this one, it's already got some stuff on it. The finish is cracked and it's got little things up in here and little dents down here. So what's one more dent? And I can also tell you that, like, I have my Telecaster here that's hanging up. It's a relic. I made it, pretty much. And that's like one of my favorite guitars, electric, to play. Again, the relic deal, I never worry about it. It's already got wear. The other thing about a relic guitar is it makes your wear show up faster and easier because it's got a light finish on it already. It's already got a little bit of the spots starting, and it wears better. So in addition to this Telecaster back here, I also have a black road-worn Stratocaster. And the wear on the road-worns is exactly the same from one to the other. But I love that guitar. It looks old, it feels old, and I never worry about digging it. So anyway, I love aged relics guitars myself, if it's done good, All right, so this is a D18, 1937, aged authentic. It is absolutely 100% stock. It's exactly as it came out of the case. It's got the ebony bridge pins that are staggered up and down. They're not even seated very well. I have not touched the action. I have not touched anything. That's part of the deal here. Is I'm just going to play it, and I'm going to tell you how it is out of the box. The 39 aged authentic is one that I've had before, and it looks to me like I recut the saddle side on this, and I fitted it with antique acoustic bridge pins. I probably set the action up. I had it maybe 2 years ago, and it's got a K&K pickup in it. But other than that, it's stock. It still has the popsicle brace, I think. I'm not sure if I took it out. I don't think I did. And I've had this guitar before, and when he offered to send it back to me, for this, man, I jumped at it because I really, really, really like this guitar. The other one that's sitting over here, I don't know, it's just quite out of, that's the D28 1941 Authentic that we have seen before. It's a pre-VTS top. It's not aged. It's the first year that they made those. So it's not aged, it's not VTS, and it's not the thin finish, but it is an authentic. So the way we're going to compare these, we're going to do the 37 and then we're going to go to the 39, and that way you can hear the big neck forward X bracing compared to the skinnier neck rear X bracing, and then the D28 is going to come in, and that way you can hear the difference between the mahogany authentic and the Madagascar rosewood, because the 39 and the 41 are pretty much the same as far as the construction and everything goes. They both have skinny necks, 2 1/8 of an inch spacing, rear X bracing, fully scalloped. So these two would be like brother and sister, and this one would be the adopted sister. This one's different. This one would be compared to a 37 D28, which I used to have too. All right, so let me just let me do my standard comparison licks, and then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to play the guitars a little bit, and then I'll make some comments on what I think about it. Hopefully the rain won't get too loud on the microphone. It's getting ready to rain, so here we go. My observations on this one, of course, I know this guitar pretty good. The D28 has got more power to it, especially on the rhythm. It's just it's a richer sound, which might be too much sometimes, except this is Madagascar Rosewood, which I love Madagascar Rosewood because it's a clean sounding rosewood. And for instance, Coco Bolo, really good rosewood. When I played Coco Bolo guitars on From Earth Like Prue, Pru guitars. I'm familiar with Pru guitars. Cocoa Butter is a little bit too much sometimes. It's a little too rich, especially if you pair it with like an Engelmann top. Then it's just too much stuff for me. So Madagascar is kind of a cleaner sounding rosewood, and I really like Madagascar for that reason. So this D28 doesn't seem like it's overwhelming, like a Brazilian might be a little bit too much reverby for me. I would almost prefer Madagascar over Brazilian in some cases, in a lot of cases. And Guatemalan would be a really good rosewood. Those seem to be a little cleaner to me. So, but it's got a little bit more power than the D18s. The neck on this one is really comfortable. I like this neck. I get more and more comfortable with it. This compared to the 39 D18 over here has a little bit more of a V to it. The 39 is a C-shaped neck. And the C-shaped necks, to me, feel slimmer. I've told the story before about when I had one of the first D1839As, and I would play it, and every time I pick it up, I think the neck feels skinny to me, you know? I pick it up, I play it, it feels skinny. It feels skinny. I finally got all my calipers out, and I measured. I had the 70s in, and I said the 70s is so perfect, you know? The 70s D18 is so good. And I measured it, and those necks were exactly the same width. And I mean exactly as I could measure. Same width, same depth. I couldn't believe it. The only difference was the V in the neck. The 39 had a C-shaped neck in it, and that particular 70s had a super nice V in it. And it felt wider, it felt more comfortable, it felt better every way around to me. And that's why I ended up selling my 39 authentic, because I rolled that money over into 70s D18, because the 30, I think the authentic has a better sound overall, but like my shop D18 is absolutely no slouch. And none of these dreadnoughts are my main guitar. My Prus are my main guitars. They were built for me. I helped design them. They are my guitars, you see. And no dreadnought is ever going to compete with that, because there's always something that, man, I wish this had a 2 1/4 inch spacing, you know. Well, guess what? The Pru has it, you know. The Pru has 5/16. So the Prus are just, perfect for me. So no dreadnought is ever gonna be my number one guitar. So I sold my 39A in order to put money into 70s, because they were more useful to me as a model. So anyway, but I like this 41A. It's comfortable for me. The action is probably a little bit lower on this one than either of the other two D18s, and it's just a nice, comfortable guitar, you know. It's very responsive, very powerful. Got good highs to it, good lows to it. Nothing's out of balance. So I like this guitar. Let's play the 39 D18 a little bit. This is the 39. That's the 37. I had to look at the KK on it. So yeah, C-shaped neck. So. Go back and listen to that on the D28, and to me, the bass is not as punchy, as powerful. Trebles are great, you know, but I think you can hear a pretty significant difference in there on that bass run on that song between this and the D28. So this action's a little higher, just a little higher. Forgot what it was just for a minute. I was thinking about something. I was listening to the guitar and not paying attention to what I was playing. The action's a little bit higher on this one, and the neck, you know, again, is not quite as comfortable. I could get used to this guitar really quick, like if I owned it, you know. I do like this one better than mine because I do like the aged business to it. It's a little bit more comfortable. And this neck, you know, when I had this one, I immediately said, this neck feels better than mine did. This neck does not feel skinny to me, like mine did. It seems like it has maybe a little bit more V. Maybe it is a little bit thicker. I'm not sure. But it's comfortable. And it's nice. I like this guitar, but I don't know. I did not have my 72. I don't remember if I had my 72 D18 when I had this one last time. But I definitely like the neck on my 72 D18 better. In fact, I'm going to get it out in a minute. We'll do a head-to-head on this one. Good job. I like this. I like this guitar a lot. The neck is, even I complain about necks, but this neck is just like 98% of perfect. Let's see. I mean, maybe that'll put it in perspective for you when I say it's just a little bit C-shaped, and it's 97%. 90. It's really close. When I cape it up there, it feels really good. It feels like it's getting a little bit more V up the neck or something, but man, it feels great. It sounds good. I personally like the rear shift expression. Rupert Thames built he's a builder, he showed a picture of a 1 3/4 inch neck rear X bass guitar. And you got the wide neck, the wide bridge spacing, and the rear X. I thought personally that'd be my perfect dreadnought. If I was going to custom build one, I would want the rear X, and I would want a slim 1 3/4 inch neck, like 30 seconds even. And this one has 2 1/8 of an inch bridge spacing. If that had 2 1/4, it would be perfect. I mean, it would just really. Which is one reason my shop D18 has 2 1/4 inch spacing, and I pick it up and it's just that little bit of extra. I like that, just a little bit extra. But I think this is my favorite of D18 Authentic. So let's get the 37 out and play on it a little bit, because that's kind of the holy grail one. First thing you got to get used to is the big neck. I mean, you sit down, and I've been playing a lot more, electric guitar, the Stratocaster, the Telecaster. But then the necks. It's funny because I used to be such a big proponent of big, fat, chunky necks. And I still like big, fat, chunky necks. But when you come off a thin neck, it takes a second to get used to. So this is the 37 Authentic, aged. And I have not seen one of these yet. I think these are pretty new. I have seen the original ones, the one from 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, whenever they stopped making them. This has a very similar neck to that. It's a big, fat, C-shaped neck. It feels like it's a little bit slimmer down here than I remember the other ones being. But this is pretty much like if you took the 39 neck and pumped some air into it and made it bigger. It still has a very C-shape to it. And up in here, it's getting a very big heel. I would like to compare this to the D28 37 Authentic, because it has a similar feel to it, where it's got a big taper. This one feels like it's thicker right here than my 37 D28 was. And the guy that owns this also has a 37 D28 aged Authentic. And when he sent me that one a couple years ago, I immediately said, that neck feels better than mine did. It felt fatter. Something was different about it. Okay, so got to get used to the neck, the spacing. Aesthetically, I like the aging and I like the relicing. I don't like the job they did on the nut right here. The nut and the saddle kind of look like they stained it with coffee. I've done this myself a few times, and it looked grainy. It doesn't look like it's really aged. It looks like it's stained. And I probably would not have stained the saddle like that because of the way it looks. A real vintage saddle would be greasy looking. It'd be spots from where your hand had it, and it would be discoloration. It would be not uniform. And this just looks to me like it's been stained or dipped in coffee. The rest of it looks really good. The aging on here is very, very mild. The finish looks great. It could probably be a little bit duller, even, and it'd be fine. It's just a little bit shiny, but I've seen real 37s. I think the pickguard is decent. Not quite a real 37. My shop D28 has a real 37 pickguard on it, real 30s. And it's much more greener looking. But that's a nice pickguard. It's decent. Decent. It's got a little bit of wear down here, a little bit of fake wear, which looks good. It's not overdone. It looks real to me. The finish checking is really good. It looks like real finish checking. So, you know, I like these. Let's play. All right, here we go. Same songs, I guess, to get going on it. First thing you notice right off the bat, the trebles are not as cutting as they were on the 41 and the 39. Those were cutting trebles, and these trebles were fatter. I noticed that immediately. Bam. Probably when I get to the low, it's going to be a little bit boomier. So. As boomy as I thought, you know. That's pretty good. Definitely got some good bass to it. Where am I? This is the hardest one to play. The reason I'm playing that song is because it's a difficult song. A lot of finger movement going on there. I haven't practiced it much, so I want to see, does the guitar react to me? Or am I able to react well on the guitar on something I haven't practiced a whole lot, you know? This has got the highest action of them all. Plus, it's got the thicker neck, so my hand is open more. So even if this action were the same, because of the thicker neck, my hand is open more like this, trying to get that bigger neck in there. And the thinner neck would be more comfortable right now. So it takes a minute to get used to. So this is the hardest guitar of the bunch so far to play on a more demanding thing like that, you know. So it definitely has the the 37 D18 sound. It's got that rumble to it. I kind of feel like if I'm going to go for that rumble, I want a D28 because then I want rumble, you know. And when I go for a D18 sound, I'm going for treble and punchy mids and punchy bass. And for me, that forward X, rear X, the rear expression, really brings out that D18 sound for me. So I'm becoming more and more a fan of rear X. This is a good guitar too, you know. I think if I played the 37, it would have to be like, okay, that's all I play, because coming off of a Telecaster to this, it would be a shock. Coming off a mandolin to this, I definitely would have to play this. I don't think I could go back and forth between a 37 and a 41, 39 very readily. I could go back and forth between the 41A and the 39A. I could go back and forth between them pretty easily, pretty readily. But I don't think I could go from either one of those to this 37 just immediately. It'd take me a minute. So, let's keep playing on it. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more work to play. I feel choppier. I don't feel as fluid on there because I'm definitely having to open my hand a lot more to get out and make sure I get those notes. If I kept my hand relaxed like this, where I wanted it to be, I'd be hitting a lot more flubby notes because the neck is thicker than I'm used to. I noticed, especially when for the D45 Authentic, it's got a massive neck on it. I can barely play it. I mean, I have to really focus on that, and I have to really open my hand and bring my hands, my fingers down, and it's just a slightly choppier sound for me because I'm not flowing very well on it. So I noticed that immediately on this, that this is my least favorite of the Authentics. And I know that for a fact because I sold my 37 D28 and I never even really was tempted to buy the D18, except for the fact that it would have been nice to have as a model. Except, as I discovered, I never work on anything that's even close to these. The 70s are not like this at all. The 70s are much closer to the 39 and the 41, which is kind of why I have those. The value of a Dreadnought for me is really as a model for my 70s overhauls. And I found out with my 37 D28, it was just too different, you know. It's got the forward X bracing, it's got the big neck, it's got no popsicle brace and everything. But the big neck and the forward X are two absolute major things that the 70s D28 just is not going to get there, you know. I'm not saying that sounds like it's like getting there is the place to be, but it's not. I'm saying it's too far away to be comparable. It's almost like comparing a Telecaster to a 70s D28. It's just too far away, and I feel like the 37s are like that, but the big neck and the forward expiration, just and a wider bridge spacing, you know. There's three major differences that the 70s won't go there. So. The other thing about this guitar immediately is that these are non-coated strings. My D28 has Elixir Nano Ebs on it, and those are my favorite strings. They're slick. And the 39 over here has got what's the prime tone? Not prime tone, not clear tone. Come on, it's a String Joy. String Joy. It's got String Joy coated, and that's the first time I played them. They're not as slick as the Elixir's, but they're slicker than these. And my fingers are just sticking like crazy on here when I try to do a slide. It's grabbing it. So I noticed that immediately. It's ripping my calluses up. And the slides are just not comfortable. So I changed strings on this to make it a little bit more comfortable to play. So. I get to listen to the guitar. I forget what I'm playing. Yeah, it's good. It's a good guitar. I still think I'd take the 39 over this one. Just barely. Just because the 39 is just a little bit more comfortable. Let's play that same thing on the 39 here real quick. And it's lighter. I like that just a little bit better. A little bit more punchy, a little bit easier to play. So, all right. I'm gonna get the shop guitar out. Long video, but I don't expect you to watch the whole thing. I'm gonna get the shop D18 out and compare it to this one real quick and You can cut out of here anytime you want to.